Welcome to Let's Talk Education, your opportunity to hear directly from the Boulder Valley School District team about important things that are happening in our schools. I have to admit, when we first thought about doing this show, it was long before the whole coronavirus crisis. We didn't have any idea that we would be in the middle of an international pandemic that would have us hunkered down in our homes. And so this is a little unusual, not exactly what we pictured when we were thinking about starting the show. But I think it is a perfect time for us to be able to use this technology and be able to broadcast about the important things that are going on and have you hear directly from our staff and our team about what they're doing in order to help ensure that we can continue learning in our schools with our students. Today, we are going to be focusing on remote learning, and in just a moment, we'll be joining the team that's been working hard to get that all stood up. But before we do that, we do want to check in with Superintendent Dr. Rob Anderson. He's currently on our Hangout, and before we get too deep, we want to ask him, he's on a stay-at-home order just like everyone else, working from home. Rob, how are you doing? And we'd love to hear about what things are like in the Anderson household right now.
Board games and lots of Netflix when we're not doing that. So trying to stay active as much as we can, going for some walks and just making most of this time, right? Which I think is really valuable and a silver lining in all this.
You've got two kids. What kinds of things have you been talking to them about or working with them on trying to keep them busy?
Well, first of all, we've tried to let them have a little bit of fun. We had spring break plans, so we had to cancel like most folks. We were going to go skiing in Jackson Hole. And so to kind of curb some of that disappointment, we've been trying to make sure we're doing fun things each and every day, but also trying to gear our kids up for home learning that starts on Monday. Making sure that they have a space where they can do video conferencing, making sure that they're organized, making sure that their rooms are clean, doing all those things that so they're ready when we stand up home learning, they're going to be in great shape. So been talking about those things, and then just the seriousness of what this is. I think it's a great opportunity for parents across our district to have those conversations with your kids. What's happening? Why is it happening? You can even work in some math lessons there if you want to show, what's happening and how this virus is growing, and just trying to have lots of conversations around that, answer any questions they have, and also just make sure that everybody feels okay. We're going to get through this. We're going to get through this together. I think the coolest thing that I've been able to share with my kids is some of the really great, amazing stories happening in our community, and we use that through social media or other avenues as things are popping up, just to show them the strength of where they live. So.
I do have to tell you, I tried to take a frame out of Jimmy Fallon's book here and had my daughters go ahead and build us a little graphic, and I forgot to show that up front here, but thank you, awesome. Savannah, for that. I'm not quite as funny as Jimmy Fallon, but I'm going to try here. So, obviously we had no idea when we first started this school year, or, we always have plans and contingencies for things, but remote learning was not one of the things that we were really planning to do. How have you felt about the team's effort to try to stand this up?
Well, I would say first and foremost that our team has done an incredible job. If you think about how many decisions we've had to make, the work we've had to put in to standing up home learning in a matter of a few weeks, all the credit goes to our team. They've done an amazing job. It's going to be different. I think it's a great opportunity for teachers, for kids to try another way to learn. Listen, there's never going to be anything that can replace the interactions between teacher and student, or class and teacher, and we know that. So trying to do everything that we can to maximize this opportunity is really what we're focusing on, and I think our team's done a great job. I think we're ready to go.
Okay, so as we promised, we were going to take a few questions that we got from online, and this tweet came in from Tabasco. I don't know what the real name is, but seeing that as we're implementing remote learning, it seems like there's a lot of work just for 1 week. Do you guys expect a longer cancellation? And of course, we know that the governor's already been talking about a longer period of time than just a week.
Yeah, and I think he's signaled that in several of his communications with the public, even saying that it's very unlikely that we'd go back to school this year. I think that it's important that we prepare for that outcome, but also be ready to act as information comes towards us. If you think about how information has changed over these past 2 weeks, I would say that we've tried to do the best we can, acting on the latest information that we have, and we'll continue to do that. But the plan that we've prepared is prepared to go through the end of the school year. And so I think that we all need to be coordinating our efforts with the governor's office, with Boulder County Public Health, with other school districts and be ready for whatever comes our way. But I will tell you that I believe our plan can get us through the end of this school year.
I know another thing that we've talked a lot about is that we got teachers, they've been working hard on getting this set up, obviously our administration. Parents are going to be playing a huge role in this. What do you want to say to them?
Good luck. It is, I'll tell you, as a 22-year educator, even as a teacher, teaching your own kids is a different story, right? And so I would say that make sure as parents that you're in tune to what your teachers are trying to do. Make it a partnership. Work with your kids, set some boundaries and guidelines, get them a good place to work, figure out a system so if they have questions for you, they can ask those, but they're not running to you for every single thing, right? We want to make sure that they're working independently when they can. And so be patient. It's going to be a lot, because I know a lot of our parents, just like I am, are working during the day. So we try to be reasonable with what we're asking kids to do. We're not asking kids to work 8 hours a day. We have different levels of work we expect from kids based on their age and the age appropriateness of that. So work with your kids, use this as an opportunity, get to know what it is they're trying to learn, have great conversations, and partner with your teacher. Your kids' teachers are going to be doing an incredible job. If you have any questions, communicate with them. They're making themselves available during this time, and certainly are looking forward to partnering with you.
One of the other things I wanted to mention about this hard work and getting things moving is that before the stay-at-home order went into place, and it's something that's going to continue on next week following spring break, which again, completely unusual spring break, right? But I'd love to have you talk about, you went out and actually went out to a couple of the schools and saw them doing their food distributions. And I've got a tweet that you sent out here up on the screen.
I'll tell you, this was last week, and I went to several of our sites, and just our hardworking team, folks from our warehouse, our food services team, out there really filling a community void, making sure that we're feeding our vulnerable families. Those bags of food, it's just not one or two things. It's several days worth of groceries, fresh fruits, vegetables, bread, pasta, some proteins. I just am so proud of the work that Chef Ann Cooper and our food services team has done. And it was really great to go out there and just to see how thankful our community is that we've been stepping up and providing this service to our community. It was really just powerful for those that had a chance to serve on those days.
And I know that I believe that there was something with Impact on Education. They've been raising funds for this, and to some of our low-income families, that they were able to get some gift cards to them. And I mean, this has really been a community effort.
Yeah, our whole community has stepped up. Impact on Education, which is the education foundation for our district, has stepped up in a really big way. If you go to their website, I think it's impactoned.org, I believe is the website. There's opportunities to donate funds. We use some of those funds to provide gift cards for some of our families for groceries. We'll additionally use some of those funds to help those students who fall behind as part of this effort, during this time, to create some programs to help them catch up whenever this virus has run its course and we're back to somewhat of a normal schedule. And then just that there just to support our families. And so it's been a great partnership, and we really appreciate Impact on Education.
And I think it is important to mention, I went onto the wrong page here, but on our website, we do have a link, both the home learning that we're talking about today, and then down below, there is information about the food distribution. And again, that is starting back up next Tuesday and Thursday. And we've got a list of the schools and all that kind of thing for people to know about that. What else, Rob, do you want people to know?
Just that we just appreciate our community, folks coming together, wanting to help. Lots of people have wanted to volunteer. We're trying to curb some of the volunteers because we have strict protocols in place to make sure that our employees don't get sick. We want to be really, really careful, but we appreciate everyone's efforts. We're going into uncharted territory, certainly over the course of the next month to 2 months. Be patient, love your family, love your kids, do everything that you can to come together and learn from this. If you have questions, we're here to help. We're available. You can ask your principal, you can ask your teacher, you can email me. We're all available to answer your questions. We can't predict the future, but we can try to prepare for an unpredictable future. And I think that's the mantra that we're really embracing during this time.
And I think that's probably an important thing to ask you is that we are really in close contact with our health department, public health, but in addition to that, Colorado Department of Education. I mean, all these folks, nobody's been coming across and saying, you know, you guys have got to make sure that every hour is in place. I mean, we all have sort of the same common, you know, cause here. We want to make sure people stay healthy and that we take care of kids and that their social emotional health is taken care of. I mean, everybody's been sort of talking the same language here.
Yeah, and it has been a lot of communication coming from a lot of different places, trying to organize that and do the right stuff for our families, for our kids. But it's been a lot for sure. And I'm really proud of our team. I think that they've stepped up in an amazing way. I think that Randy, the communications team, you all have done an incredible job keeping people informed with the best information that we have, as frequently, but not too frequent, right? We're trying to mix the balance. So hopefully we're not bugging anybody, but we just feel like it's important that you know that we're on top of what we're doing, that we've got your kids. We're going to make it through this together.
Well, thank you, Superintendent Anderson. We really appreciate your time today, and you're welcome to, you know, stay on if you want as we answer some questions, but we also will let you get back to taking care of your family. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Randy. Thanks, everybody. Everyone be safe. Wash your hands. Don't touch your face.
Thank you. Very important. Wash those hands, right? All right, we're going to go and switch to our panel now. And so I'm excited to bring on a whole group of people. So if they want to go and turn on their cameras now, again, this is a whole new kind of avenue for us in the way that we're doing this. And so hopefully this goes well. But over the past couple of weeks, as Dr. Anderson spoke about, we have been preparing to resume learning. And, you know, while our buildings have been closed, to spread the coronavirus, we've had a great team of people that have really been thinking about what does this distance, this remote learning, home learning look like. And so to talk to us about this today, I'm going to announce a whole group of people, and then we're going to have them chime in as we sort of talk to them about questions. First of all, Kyle Addington, our Director of Curriculum and Standards for East Network, is on the line with us, as is Angel Stobaugh, the Director of Language Arts and Humanities for the Southwest Network. We've got Kristin Donley, the Director of STEM for the Northwest. Just came not too long ago, just in time to help us out with all this. He's the coordinator for network and school leadership. Traci Comerford from BVSD IT, she's our support manager over there, is on the line with us, as is Dennis Rastatter, the Executive Director of Special Education. Thank you all for joining me today and talking about this important thing. Just as a reminder, we are taking questions from people out in the community right now. So if you have something that you want to ask as they're talking, I might look away and be looking at Facebook or whatever. We've integrated some of the questions that we've already received, but go ahead and just go onto that latest Facebook or Twitter post, and I'll be looking there for adding questions. The remote learning does kick off this coming week. Kyle, you've been really working on this since even before school was out. Do you want to kind of start by telling us a little bit about what this is going to look like as we start going, and then we'll dip into kind of what it looks like.
Yeah, Randy, happy to do that.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, thank you. And thanks, Dr. Anderson. Thanks, Randy, for allowing us to get an opportunity to speak and answer some questions. And I'll make sure I caught the end of your question, Randy, but I think it was just an overview of some of the things we've been preparing before school got out to be able to support home learning. Does that sound right, Randy? Awesome. Yeah, it's been an incredible kind of whirlwind experience, I think, for a lot of us and a lot of families in general. But from the school district perspective, like, we have been working really hard to make sure that we can support our teachers and support our families. And Dr. Anderson did a great job, and Randy, you too, just on hitting on kind of what's the most important when we think about our role as a school district and a community. And I appreciate that we're concerned about families and taking care of those who need it most. And when it comes to our efforts for the academic side of things, it's been an incredible team effort that we've gathered together to start forming resources that teachers can use in the classroom and use with students, and coupling that alongside with great work on the professional development angle of things too. Being able to go from a classroom environment to a digital environment is no small task, and I think all of us and many of us have learned that over the course of a week of trying to work from home, trying to figure out family from home, and then we're starting this path of trying to figure out learning from home. And for all of us, Dr. Anderson meant that piece about patience, and I think that's important for us as staff too, to think about how we're going to be patient with each other as we learn and figure this out. And I am just amazed and blown away by the efforts of all of our staff, principals, and teachers to begin to kind of reshape and reform what everyday business kind of looks like in a school district. So I'm just, it's been amazing to watch all of us come together, and yeah, we're moving in a great direction, I think, and getting our feet underneath us when we think about home learning and learning online.
Well, I tried to switch over to the phone here, so hopefully everybody can hear me. So just let me know if we're having trouble. You gotta love technical difficulties during these things. Angel, or I was going to say, I know that, again, learning looks a little bit differently at an elementary versus a secondary level, and we were going to have Angel talk to us a little bit about what that looks like at an elementary level. It looks like, Angel, you don't have your video on, but just wanted to see if you can join us now. We can move on to secondary in a moment if we need another minute.
Yeah, my video's on.
Okay, there you go. Now I see you.
There, good now?
Yes, you look great.
Thanks. Getting used to this this technology, all of us are. So yeah, so at the elementary level, well, first of all, our teachers, our elementary teachers, and I know our secondary teachers as well, they're so excited to be able to get to see and talk with their students next week. At elementary, so families and students, please know that next week your teachers will be in contact with you. They're going to be checking in to see how you're doing and what you've been doing over the past couple of weeks and what you did over spring break. And so they're just checking in, seeing how things are going. The teachers will also be helping families and kids with getting used to the digital platform. Teachers will be using either Google Classroom or Schoology, so they'll be helping families to get up and moving with the digital resource. Another thing that our teachers are going to be talking with families about is finding that learning space at home. And Dr. Anderson referred to that as well, as he was going to be working with his kids on that. A space to call school at home. So teachers will be able to support families in figuring out what that looks like. Teachers will also have what we're terming home learning menus. These menus are a list of activities that our teachers and our network support staff have created. And the purpose of these, multi-purpose, one is for students to apply the learning that they have been receiving when they were in the school, to apply some of that learning at home. And then really using this first week and these menu activities as a transition time, a time to think about school, again, school as in the home environment. So we'll be asking families to select a few each week, 4 or 5, or each day, select 4 or 5 activities to have their students, have their children do. Parents can ask students to select a few. Parents, you may want to select a few. And so each day students will be completing those activities. Teachers will be in contact. Then after the first week, our teachers will be set and ready to go. They will continue to connect with families, and the purpose then will be to share with students instructional lessons. And these lessons will be lessons that they have specifically planned for their group of students.
Excellent. I think that's a great intro into kind of everything that's going on with elementary. We'll move over to Kristin to talk about what that looks like at the secondary level.
Hi, yes, we've been working tightly with the elementary group to align procedures, and we have recommended with secondary teachers that they really focus on creating a community, connecting with their kids, making sure that they feel safe, happy, and are able to get into the learning management platforms that we're using, that Angel talked about, Google Classroom or Schoology, and not to rush right into content. I think that's really important. It's a new environment, and we need to make sure that all of our teachers and students feel comfortable, and creating that online environment where they can feel like they're connected to their peers is really important as well, especially as we all know, if you have a teenager, which I do, connecting with your peers is the most important part of their day. So we're really trying to push that piece. We also have provided a lot of PD and training to our teachers, and I want to commend them. Pre-K through high school, these teachers have been coming to PDs during their spring break. They want to learn the tech tools and how to integrate them with best practices. So really that's what we're focusing on right now. The first few days when they get back is creating a community, and then moving into providing resources, video, and office hours to support students in learning the content. We also want to mention that if a student is having a hard time connecting or can't understand something, they need more resources, to reach out to their teacher, let them know. And the teachers can reach out to their principals if it's something that they need district support with.
I think that's a really good point. People are there to support them throughout this entire process. One of the questions that came up was the idea of what hours are we expecting the online learning to happen? Is there anybody that wants to jump in and sort of talk about that?
Sure, Randy, I can jump in. So the online learning that we have right now is to not exceed 4 hours throughout the day. Obviously, just as everyone else on the call has been talking about, the first priority is really that we're engaging with students and getting to know how they're doing. These teachers miss their kids. They want to see them. They want to make sure that they're doing okay, and really make sure that they're in a comfortable place and a safe place to really start to dive into that learning. But as of right now, that is the hours of online.
Okay. And another area that I think we can kind of dive into a little bit more is just the idea of what this kind of will look like. I have a question from Rachel Sauer's page that says, the information sent home was a little bit unclear with elementary age students to be taught new content during the area of the quarantine. So I know that we've kind of talked about that. We're not really trying to push forward into new areas in elementary. While at secondary, we really are trying to make sure that they complete all the things that they need to for their standards. Who wants to maybe kind of address that a little bit?
So again, just a bit at elementary to clarify. The first week is application of learning that has occurred through the year through the home learning menus. And again, that's to help transition students to feel comfortable learning at home, having school at home. Then it's after that first week that teachers will be providing some new content and through instructional lessons, but then also while they are live with students, time to have students interact with each other and time to be practicing the learning. So there is new content, it's just that first week that there isn't new content expected as we're working to create that partnership with the families and building community with the students in an online platform.
And Angel, I think we're really trying to kind of fill out where people are at too. I mean, this may be different based on each student's situation. If they're having trouble connecting, then we're going to be working with them. If you know they need a little bit extra support, we'll be looking for that. Correct?
Correct.
Okay. Kristin, anything that you want to do on this or add on to the secondary level on that one?
I think with secondary, again, the focus the first couple of days will be the same as elementary, really making sure that kids are connected, they feel safe, and building that community. After that, teachers will be providing flipped video lessons, other resources to help learn the content, as well as office hours. I think that's a big one that I've seen. Every school has created their own plan that fits their community. And those office hours are an opportunity for kids to connect with the teacher, to ask questions that don't just have to be content related. They could be having some issues connecting via internet, so that we know what we need to do to help support those families. And I think that's really important to the parents, that if you see anything, and I want to reiterate this again, if you see anything that is an issue for your student, we are here to support you. We have plenty of people in various places that want to help these students succeed.
You know, and speaking about supporting students, we've got Dennis Rastatter with special education. We have gotten a number of questions about how we will be supporting those students specifically. So Dennis, do you want to talk about kind of how you guys have been working together to create a plan for this? And I think you even just got off a phone call with the state in regards to their expectations and their thoughts on it, right?
Yes, correct. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, we just met with the Colorado Department of Education's State Director of Special Education, Dr. Paul Foster, to continue to receive guidance on implementation of special education services and programming as we move through this pandemic. What we have done as a district up to this point is worked with all of our special education teachers and providers, and I'd like to give them a huge shout out for the work that they've done in really crafting and creating what supports will look like for our students with special needs. As we know, we have varying needs of students across our entire school district, so we'll be working hard and working with families and the teachers and providers who support those students to implement services the best that we can through our online learning programs. And so again, it'll be a true collaborative process between families and staff in implementing IEP or individualized education planning plan services.
I can imagine that this throws a little bit of a curveball in terms of, I mean, oftentimes these students really have this hands-on support with the idea of social distancing. Do you expect staff are going to be going to people's houses, or is it really trying to, how do you support the parent helping them?
Yeah, so at this point, we will not have staff going to homes. Obviously, with the, the governor's orders, we are going to follow those requirements. So we will, we have multiple levels of support, of staff support to work with families and helping parents work with their students. And so we're, the troops, so to speak, are ready to provide that support to families as necessary and as required.
Perfect. I think that's really helpful. One of the other things that we wanted to mention today is that we have had a group of people, actually Dr. Anderson was mentioning this earlier in our conversation, the idea of our technical crews have been really working to get out technology to people. Each of our schools have had days where students can come out and talk and actually hand out things, working very carefully with public health to make sure that we're keeping separation. I'm showing a tweet right now that Dr. Anderson had posted, but somebody getting their computer and that kind of thing. So I'd love to pull in Traci now and have her kind of talk about, what that's looked like on the technical side and how we're supporting students with that.
Thanks. Yeah, so last weekend we had a kind of an all hands on deck approach from our entire IT team. We went into the schools individually and sanitized and prepared about 7,000 Chromebooks to hand out to the schools, to the students that needed them this week. Those handouts took place on Wednesday and then again today at the various schools. To the students that needed them to prepare them for the remote learning.
And I know that parents may not be always technical savvy here. If they need help, where are you guys sending those people right now? We don't necessarily want to dive deep into how to use your Chromebook in today's session, but we do have people standing by to help with that.
Right. So of course, we want them to reach out to the schools first because I think that the schools can help them a great deal. But if it becomes a technical issue and they do need assistance, we have our number that they can call. That number is 720-561-HELP or 4357 is what that translates to. We also have an email address that they can use, and that's it@bvsd.org. We've got a service desk team normally of 5 folks, but because our customer service technicians who normally work in the schools don't have that opportunity right now, we've got them helping us out on the phones. So we've got a team of 12 technicians to take phone calls and help as much as we can.
Excellent, thank you. Here's another question that we got on Facebook from Heather White, who asked, will video instruction, so again, we're talking about the fact that technology is there. We're trying to have our teachers, relate to students through this technology. She asked, will the video instruction be recorded and posted in the event a student can't attend the allotted time session or technology fails? I know that we've been really thinking about that, and making sure that every family situation may be completely different. So there may be some opportunities where they can have that live interaction, but we are trying to give people the ability to have some flexibility. Anybody willing to kind of jump in and answer that one?
Yes, I can answer a little bit at the secondary level. Most of the teachers with their content are creating pre-recorded videos and content to give to the students first, and then having kind of a flipped learning situation, which really means that during the office hours, then kids, after viewing the content that was pre-recorded, can go in and ask questions. And looking at most of the school's schedules, they've been really conscious on creating a diverse schedule so that it meets the needs of all kids, so that there are various times that they can meet with teachers during the week.
And we did actually just got a Facebook message about this. Jeannie Klein was asking, what are the expectations that we're sharing with teachers about how often those online office hours might be, that kind of thing.
That's a great question. Yeah, depends on the school, but we were saying at least 1 to 2 times a week where you have a Google Meets or a Schoology conference somewhere where students can log in and get direct instruction or ask questions. But then there are other modalities such as emails that we've used as teachers since day one. So there are various methodologies in which students can contact their teachers and get help. It doesn't just have to be through these face-to-face conferences. The other thing I do want to say is that we also have a policy where we're not penalizing students if they cannot attend one of those live conferences. So teachers have backup plans and other ways to create access to content.
Sounds like flexibility is the name of the game right now. Chris, I know it looked like you were vying to possibly say something about that. Anything you wanted to add?
Really just wanted to piggyback on what Kristin was saying, that's absolutely true. Flexibility is the name of the game right now. And as Dr. Anderson alluded earlier, really we need to be able to meet students where they are. This situation is really challenging for a lot of our families, and they're handling it in different ways, and they're faced with different challenges at home. And so we really need to understand that. We need to know that there could be kids who are watching younger siblings and might not be able to make that live lesson that their teacher's telling them to make. Or they may have some access issues, may have some in and out internet service that they're really struggling with. We could have students who are having a language barrier. There could be a lot of those things that are challenges for individual students. And so really we're empowering our teachers and our school-based staff to do whatever they can to connect with those students and those families and figure out what the best way is to get them content. And like Kristin said, that could be through an office hour, it could be through an email, it could be through a Google Meet, could be a pre-recorded session. It could be, hey, we know you're really struggling to get access. Let's work on this project together, and you can just send this to me at the end of the week and let me know all the different steps you took. So really, it's about meeting kids where they are, not punishing students for not having the same access as maybe someone else.
And to that end, I know Angel and you and your team are actually at the Ed Center today and have been over the last week working to try to pull together kits, because we do have kids that may just want this on paper. We actually have a lot of these materials are also online, and so I'll have Chris talk about this in a second. But Angel, I'd love to have you talk about that process and what is available for parents there.
So yes, we have been here at the Ed Center, and we are practicing safe social distancing. And what we're doing, and I want to do a shout out for Impact on Education, because they have supplied us many of the resources that are in these backpacks, but we're creating backpacks for students. Here's a couple examples of some of the backpacks that will be available. And
look at that social distancing there, by the way.
Say that again?
I was just saying, look at that social distancing. You got at least 6 feet there.
So in our backpacks for students or for families who are not going to be using digital resources or have the online resources, we have a backpack filled with many items. And so so we have our calculators, we have crayons, we have some math materials, some rulers and pencils, and some of the things something that's in all of the backpacks are the home learning menus. And again, this is week 1 menus, and we have it for preschool through the grades, and there are specific activities. And again, we're asking families to pick a few for each day to do over the course of the week, and we have the lessons that instructions to go with those. And so parents will have those. The first week, teachers will talk through those with the students, and then also the students can share what they're learning and what they're applying from completing those activities. Also, we're handing out books. Got to have our readers continuing to read. So we have Spanish and English texts at various levels that will also be distributing at the 9 locations. And we're starting that this coming Monday.
One of the questions that we just got on Facebook was the idea of PK students. Anybody know what our plans are in that arena?
Our preschool students, there are home learning activities. There's a menu for a few weeks for the preschool students. And at this time, preschool students aren't going to be needing to access any content or instruction on a digital resource. The preschool teachers will be meeting with the director of early childhood this coming Monday, and they're going to talk about all the different options and all the different ways to be able to connect with the kids.
Yeah, just to add on to that, Randy.
A lot about. Oh, Chris, go ahead.
First technical difficulty. Just wanted to add on to that our pre-K staff, although they might not need to have preschool students accessing a Chromebook, for example, we are highly encouraging those staff to be able to interact with preschool parents, right? To be able to give them some guidance on those activities, similar to what we're doing at the kindergarten and elementary levels, to make sure that they see that there's learning opportunities all around their house and that there's all these different types of ways that they can engage with their students. So those things are in progress as well.
It feels a little bit like CNN Crosstalk, right? Like, although we don't have the disagreeable people on each side. So there's just good news. We all get along here. A lot of the other questions had to do with attendance. You know, I think a lot of people were do they need to make sure that they, one of the questions that we just got on here was the idea that I've got a student that has to do physical therapy on Fridays, and so they may not be available during the exact time that they're doing things. Again, a lot of what we were talking about was flexibility, but anybody that wants to talk about kind of what our expectations are for attendance.
Yeah, so our expectation for attendance is really going to based on completion, right? And what we mean by completion can be really flexible based on the school. And we've empowered teachers to take that on and be able to communicate that well with their families beginning next week. And kind of a little bit like we talked about before, it's all centered around engagement. It could be completion of, hey, did you review this assignment that we sent to you on an email? Were you able to hop onto a Google chat? Even a phone call to be able to just talk about this reading assignment that we had you do a couple days ago, or earlier today. So those are all forms of a way that a student may complete an assignment for the day, or engage with the student to be present and participating, and then quote unquote be marked as in attendance for that day. So we were very intentional in providing that flexibility, again, to meet students where they are, but it's really based on completion of any of those things.
And while I got you talking, Chris, one of the things that we have worked on the website is really the idea of having the home learning connected here. You can dive into elementary or secondary and a lot of those resources there. What do you want people to know about the resources that we pulled together so far?
Yeah, this is a great resource at bvsd.org. You'll see that right there on the homepage as we're launching home learning this week. And as you go through both the elementary and the secondary tabs there, you're going to see that there's a lot of information on taking care of yourself and your family. Again, that's our first priority. But then you also see things like what to expect in the first week, what to expect beyond that at the elementary level, some examples of what your day may look like, how to engage with your teacher, and then essentially what I just said around things like attendance and where to go with questions and concerns. So this is a great resource. Highly encourage families to keep coming back here. As we keep saying, we're going to continue to learn and how to best serve our community in this new environment. This is a great place that we'll continue to update resources and information as needed.
And you could even see in there when I was scrolling, I'm assuming that it's showing up on the screen, but it did show a little bit about special education, had opportunities for if you're trying to get a schedule in place for your kid. There's a lot in there.
Sure is.
Let's see here. What other questions we got? Again, we've talked about a lot about flexibility. One of the things that we talked about is this is a work in progress. We expect that we're going to launch this next week, and it may not be perfect. Anybody want to talk about that?
Randy, I'll jump in real quick, just thinking about our ongoing kind of development when we're thinking about how we're going to support teachers in doing that. And our initial focus, it's important to know that our initial focus to support from the district level and in the classroom level is really around core classes. But we also are thinking really intentionally about the other teachers and classes that are out there and how to be able to kind of move forward and support broader scope as well beyond just what we're thinking about with core. So when you think about the more full experience, we all recognize fully that we're not going to be able to flip a switch on Monday and things are going to go back to normal. We're just going to do it online. That's never been the parameters. We've talked about differences in time, minutes in education. It's a completely different modality. This is something that's different. And when you think about over the course of time, Randy, you're right. We're going to figure out things that we can do better as a district, but also probably individual teachers as well, right? I think that as we think about the task that's being asked, all of us are going to figure out how to do this better going forward. And I think that's important for us to keep in mind. And I'm really thankful for the community and community support in that, but being able to understand that, some teachers might be doing one thing one way, and then they might learn and do things progressively over time. That's different. And it's not all of a sudden we start on Monday and we're good to go. I think that all of us need to understand that we're all learning in this together. And our job as a district role is to support teachers and being able to grow and being able to do this as effectively as possible.
Awesome. Another question that we got on Facebook is just in regards to the percentage of students that may not be able to get online. I don't know if we know that number offhand, but Traci, do you want to talk about, in addition to Chromebooks and iPads, we have Hotspots. I know in an earlier conversation I had today, there was definitely the idea that, especially for our graduating seniors, we want to make sure that they've got that connectivity. We've really put a priority on them. What else do you want to share in terms of that connectivity side of things?
Well, I know that the district has worked out some arrangements with both Comcast and Livewire to help families get internet access if they don't have it. If they don't qualify for those programs, we do have some hotspots on hand that we can deploy. And if a family is in need of one of those, they would want to reach out to the service desk at either the phone number that I gave earlier. I can give it again if you'd like. It's 720-561-HELP, or the number's 4357. Or they can send an email to it@bvsd.org. And we'll make those arrangements and help them in the best way that we can. And if that means deploying a hotspot, we can do that as well.
Perfect. Thank you, Traci. I know this will be a little repetitive, but I definitely want to try to answer as many questions as I can from what we're getting on Facebook. One of the questions came in was about the idea of, I know we've been talking about 4 hours of instruction that we're trying to get. Just to be clear, we're not looking at it being like everybody gets online at 9 a.m. and goes until 1.
Sorry, I think you broke up there a little bit, Randy. We might not be able to hear the rest of your question there, but just to reiterate the flexibility around, yes, that we have a board approved no longer than 4 hours in there, but that can mean a lot of different things. And we're really talking about limiting screen time and those type of things. And the overall educational experience could happen throughout the day. whether that be through various office hours at secondary levels, whether that be some interaction that parents can have with teachers in the younger levels, talk about what their students are doing for the day and to give them some recommendations on how, by simple things of, playing in the backyard could turn into a science lesson very easily. And our teachers are doing a really great job of being really creative in that space and finding all these different ways to enact learning in the home environment right now. And so, yeah, when we say things like 4 hours, it's not locked into a specific schedule. We highly encourage you, if you don't, to connect with your teacher on Monday. They'll reach out to you and they'll be able to give you all the specifics of the different ways that you can engage in learning for their class and when some available learning opportunities will be for you. And then again, if you're struggling as a student or a family to meet the schedules that schools are posting, know that they will be flexible with you and that they'll provide other opportunities for you to engage. Absolutely.
Perfect. And thank you so much for clarifying it sounds like I broke up during it, but the question was really that exactly, do students need to tune in at exactly 9 a.m. or at exactly 1 p.m.? That's not what we're asking for here. I think the only other thing that we were going to chat about is sort of an extension of what Dr. Rob already talked about, the idea of if you've got any sort of feedback for families as they take this on starting on Monday, what would you want to share with them? I'll just kind of treat this as a round robin, whoever wants to jump in, and then we'll close this up.
I guess I'll start at elementary, just reiterating flexibility. Know that all of our teachers, all of our principals, all of the support staff here, that we are here for you, and that as we've all been learning and growing, and know that will be the same as you will be experiencing at home. We are your partners, so please do consider ways that you can reach out to your teachers. Teachers will be reaching out to you. Anything that you need, they're here for you. We're here for you. And patience, taking deep breaths, patience with your children. I have had kids as well, so taking those deep breaths, and then also patience for yourself. And we are here for you, and we're in it together.
I would also add at the secondary level, I ditto everything that Angel said. But also advocate for yourself. If there is a need, please make sure you reach out to your teacher, and then also your building principal can help with many of the issues. We have a structure in place of how they contact leadership that's very effective, and we're here, like Angel said, to be your partner and to help solve any issue that you might have.
Anybody else have anything that they want to add? Dennis?
Yeah, would like to echo what everyone else has already said too. We'll be working from a special ed perspective to support families and kiddos and things that are practical, reasonable, and essential to support you and your kiddos through this unprecedented situation. So again, the partnership piece is something we'll be striving to work with you all on, and the special education case managers will be in touch with you and your kiddos beginning next week, if they haven't already reached out to you, to really work with you on what an instructional plan and a support plan will look like for kiddos and their families.
Excellent. I want to show one last comment and bring Rob back in to kind of help to wrap this up. We got a comment on Facebook while we were talking today, and Lauren Pickens says, just want to give a quick comment to say thanks for all of your hard work and strong leadership. As a parent, the way that the online learning plan has been communicated and rolled out has been almost, most comforting. It has offered some stability and clarity in an uncertain time. Looking forward to next week. Thanks again. Bring it back, Rob. What do you think about that feedback, and what else do you want people to know at the end of this conversation?
Well, I'll say this. What gives me real confidence, Randy, about what we're doing is we've got a really good plan, but we've got incredible, excellent teachers who are going to make it work. And people in Boulder Valley Public Schools, our school district, people are our strength. They've always have been. They always will be. And so I just really appreciate everything that all of our team is doing to bring this great lot learning opportunities for our kids. Want to thank our public, want to thank our school board who has been doing an excellent job behind the scenes helping lead these efforts and provide our staff the flexibility and resources that we need to do great things for kids and families. And so I want to thank our school board as well, and just thank everybody in the public, and want to thank all of my kids' teachers who have already been reaching out, and they are ready to go, and I'll make sure of it. So thanks everybody. Randy, thank you for putting this together. I thought this was great, really informative, and love seeing your kids. So hey girls, how are you? Good to see you.
So I just want to thank everyone for joining us today. Thank you to all of our panel and to Superintendent Anderson. I think it's wonderful that we've got such an amazing team and such great questions from our community. We really want to make sure that we're available to you and answering your questions. Don't hesitate if you have questions to reach out to your school, to the district. Communications is always standing by and ready to help you with anything that you might have questions about to get to the right person and get that answer to you. And so I'll just close up by saying, from our families to yours, we hope that you stay well. Have a great day, everybody.
Stay well. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Okay. Thank you, everybody.